your character has a conversation with Ben's character, and they're like, how did we get here? And it's only by like God's grace that we can get out of it. Have you ever had a situation in your life that you felt kind of that feeling?
It's funny though, all my time has really have been in the water, surfing or swimming or diving and so on, not so much on boats. And it's quite different being on top of it as opposed to in it. And you know, there was a whole lot of sort of motion sickness and seasickness to deal with the first couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, and I heard that the fire was actually over you in that one scene.
Yeah.
So was that kind of, I could not have done that.
Well, yeah, it's funny. I remember getting there and thinking, oh, okay, well, so what have I got to do? I've got to swim under the fire. And I thought, I'll have to hold my breath and whatever. And they're like, oh, don't worry, you won't get burnt because we're going to strap you to a cable. I was like, oh, right, how do I breathe? And they're like, you just have to hold your breath the length and hold your breath until we unhook you from the cable and then swim back up again once you're the other side of the fire. And they're like, yeah, but you surf, you know what you're doing. I was like, yeah, of course. So you don't want to admit you're scared. But I was like, it was quite a length. It was, you know, a big length of the pool. And, you know, a bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah, like I said, I couldn't do it. But your character, he's also like motivated to get home to his family, to get home to his child. I mean, you love your job and everything, but do you still resonate with that?
Oh, of course, yeah. No, I think, you know, I don't think I could have related to this character in that situation and that want to get home as well, you know, or as much if I didn't have a child of my own at the time, which I did. And, you know, I spent 2 days, 2 weeks away from her or my kids, and it's, you know, you can't survive much longer than that. That's what it feels like. So to be away for 2 years or to imagine never seeing them again, I think that's that kind of motivation is something that I think I'd like to think I could defy anything and all odds to get back there.
Now, when you were a boy, did you read Moby Dick or?
Probably saw the movie first,
Okay.
the John Huston directed movie starring Gregory Peck as Ahab. And then in high school, I read the book. When I reread it, as I was researching In the Heart of the Sea, I realized that in high school, the teacher had probably given us a break, and I'd read the abridged version. So now I was reading the unabridged version. But it was really interesting thematically, knowing the story that had inspired the novel, to actually see that, sure, Melville was using a lot of characters, obviously, from his own life and some other incidents from other events, maybe, or maybe out of his own imagination for certain aspects. But there were other things thematically that existed in the survival story of In the Heart of the Sea and in the dynamic of the conflicts within the crew in the Heart of the Sea that are also reflected in Moby Dick. I thought that was really fascinating.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because they are strong physically, but emotionally with their heart and stuff, they are kind of questioning the meaning of it all. Was that a message you wanted to put in there? Or?
Well, absolutely, and again, that's the drama of it. I thought there were some lines that we could connect to, our modern society and our psyches, that so that we'd relate to these characters in a more modern way. But it's also there in some of the diary entries that they made, while they were adrift, where they began to question themselves. They wondered why this whale had turned on them with this kind of intensity, and with this fierceness. They wondered if it was punishment in some way.
Yeah, they said a line about it's God punishing us.
Yeah.
And the grace that they need from God. So.
Well, that a lot of those details came out of the research, and I also tried to take some sort of some moments from Moby Dick, particularly in some of the whale action, because Melville wrote that action so brilliantly. So I blended that with the action that was described, by the survivors themselves of the actual whale attack. So it's kind of a mashup, but all of the behaviors have been authenticated to us by marine mammal specialists who we would bring in. We would show them the shots that we were going to do and the behaviors we were expecting the whale to perform, and they confirmed and sometimes encouraged us to make them even more intense, which was kind of wild.